to dream again in this FA Cup.
He scored! Wolfenden has scored for Hove.
It's a goal for Bournemouth, and it's double joy for Paul Mullin.
Yes, hello, good afternoon, welcome to Final Score, all the goals as they go in across the Premier League, Championship and Scottish Premiership, and today we have the added drama of the FA Cup first round. Plenty then for Fara Williams and Glenn Murray to get excited about. In the lunchtime Premier League kick-off, it has just finished Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. Goodness me, how they needed that. We'll get more on that shortly. But let's start with the team news from the Premier League's 3 p.m. kick-offs. Champions Manchester City host the Bournemouth team, who finally got their first league win of the season against Burnley last weekend. Good afternoon to John Bennett.
Hi Jason, yes, it's a well-rested Manchester City today as they look to extend their home-winning run to 22 games. They had a rare midweek without a fixture, 4 changes from the Manchester derby. Out go Diaz, Gvardiol, Foden and Grealish. In come Ake, Kovacic, Doku and Akanji. Bournemouth followed up that crucial victory over Burnley with a narrow EFL Cup defeat to Liverpool. They make 1 change from the Burnley win, Kirkes in for Semenyo, so it looks as though they're going 5 at the back.
Thank you very much indeed. Burnley yet to win at home in the Premier League. Can they break that duck against Palace this afternoon? Rich Wolfenden, good afternoon.
Hiya, Jace. This really does feel like a perfect fixture for Burnley to get their first home points of the season. But if they don't, Vincent Kompany will be only the second manager in Premier League history to lose his first 6 home games of the season. They do have some good news today, as Jordan Bayer is back after missing the last month through injury. Berger and Rodriguez also come in. Unchanged, Crystal Palace don't have the best record against Burnley in recent times, having not beaten the Lancashire side in their last 5 attempts. But will Hodgson, 76, be able to get the better of the young whippersnapper Kompany, 37, this afternoon?
We shall see. Thank you, Rich. Sheffield United, the only team in the top 5 tiers of English football yet to win a game. Wolves team unbeaten in 5 in the league go to Bramall Lane. Good afternoon to Naz Premji.
Afternoon, Jason. The blade's still pretty blunt. Wolves howling up the table, both sides with 2 changes. Sheffield United welcome back George Baldock and Cameron Archer for James McAtee and Anis Ben Slimane. Both dropped to the bench. Pedro Neto out injured. Bibakar Traore also misses out for Wolves. Tommy Doyle a first Premier League start, and Sasa Kalajic comes in as well for Gary O'Neill's side.
Thank you, Naz. Enjoy it. The last 4 Premier League meetings between Everton and Brighton Hove Albion have ended in an away win. Hope for a Brighton side without a win in 4. Good afternoon, Sarah Mulkerrins.
Yes, and the last 2 of those away wins had 11 goals. So here's to a goal fest at Goodison, Jason. Sean Dyche has made 2 changes to his Everton side from their league win over West Ham. Young returns after his 1-match ban. Gay is in with Anana out due to a tight calf. 5 changes though for Roberto De Zerbi as he tries to arrest that winless run. Verbruggen starts ahead of stealing goal. Veltman and Van Heck come into that Brighton defence who have been creaking, while Milner and Gilmour are the other additions.
Thank you, Sarah. Have a good afternoon. Brentford will be hoping to continue their unbeaten top-flight record against West Ham United, whose early form has fallen away of late in the Premier League. Chris Latchem.
Hello, Jason. Yeah, 4 Premier League meetings between these 2 and a perfect 4 wins for Brentford with 3 clean sheets in that run. They're big fans of a London derby too. Unbeaten in their last 13 capital derbies in the league. 2 changes for Thomas Frank. Hickey and Ruslever out with Onyeka and Neil Mopai coming in. West Ham might have reached the EFL Cup quarter-finals on Wednesday, but their league form is pretty rancid. 1 win in 6 after that terrific start they had. And Moyes is without 2 key players today. Lucas Paquetá and Enson Alvarez are both suspended. Michail Antonio and James Ward-Prowse come in with Areola back in goal.
Rancid, my favourite word of the afternoon so far. As we mentioned then in the lunchtime kick-off, what a win for Manchester United. They left it late, John Southall.
They did. Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. They left it late. They left it to the 91st minute. It was a mess in the Fulham defence, but the captain, Bruno Fernandes, kept his calm just inside the penalty area, cut inside a defender and finished inside the near post. The goalkeeper, Leno, got a hand to it, but he couldn't keep it out in front of the jubilant Manchester Manchester United supporters. Also their goalkeeper Andre Onana had a big say in the afternoon as well. He made 2 key saves from Harry Wilson and Polina in the second half when Fulham were on top. But what a big win for Manchester United, and what a big win for their manager Erik ten Hag as they now head out to Copenhagen in the Champions League. Fulham 0, Manchester United 1.
John, thank you very much indeed. Huge win for Erik ten Hag, given what he's been through this week, and Manchester United. And I think, as the kids say, limbs in the away end when Bruno Fernandes scored. And you have to say, Farah, good afternoon to you. Awful defending from Fulham.
Yeah, it was in the end, and they've done so well throughout the game with their defending, and obviously the United goal that was disallowed for a marginal offside is, you know, it's something that will be debated, and certainly for Erik ten Hag.
Absolutely, Glenn. Good afternoon to you, especially after the week they've had.
Yeah, massive 3 points, especially for the manager, Erik ten Hag. Just lifts the atmosphere around the place a little bit, but...
Thank you. What a day of football we have in store. FA Cup first round, and the 40 ties got underway last night with 2 matches. So here are all the goals, starting with the lowest ranked side who made it to the first round, Sheffield United against League 2 Walsall. Fantastic game, and don't forget you can watch every goal from every first round game on the BBC Sport website and the app. Right, plenty more to come on the FA Cup. First, let's look ahead to the Premier League games. Well, Simon Brotherton is at the Etihad for us, and match of the day this afternoon. Simon, good afternoon to you. I don't want to upset any Bournemouth fans, but they got no chance today, have they?
Well, he said we've got to maximise our chances, but of course he knows the chances are pretty slim. He made his home league debut in this fixture last season, and it was the only one of the opening 9 league games in which he failed to find the back of the net. Today's on 47 Premier League goals, 3 short of becoming the quickest player to reach 50.
Good to see you, Simon. Enjoy the afternoon. Thank you. Let's take a look at the top of the table. And for the first time in 5 years, the top 5 have more than 20 points. But Fara, City will be back to the top of the table come 5 o'clock, won't they? Right now, let's talk about the FA Cup first round. First up, Bristol Rovers against Whitby Town in the 7th tier, who've reached the first round for the first time in 20 years. Now, it may be nearly 300 miles each way, but Whitby very much looking forward to their big day out. Liam MacDevitt is up for the cup. Lots of excitement there, Liam. Good afternoon to you.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, the atmosphere here is building, and you're right, 2002 was the last time that Whitby Town found themselves in the first round of the FA Cup. They suffered a loss that day, but today it could be different because they're facing a Bristol Rovers who have been inconsistent in League One. They're 15th and they're managerless, and that's going to be Whitby's hope today that they can cause another upset. And there's 500 Whitby Town fans who have all made, like you said, the 300-mile round trip to be here at Bristol Rovers to see their team in the first round of the FA Cup. And speaking to them before the game, they cannot wait. They cannot believe that they're here in a Football League stadium because most of Whitby could fit into the capacity of the Memorial Ground. The teams are going to be out any second. They're just coming out of the tunnel on my right, and I can't wait. And you know what? I think there could be another FA Cup upset today.
Thank you very much indeed, Liam. Enjoy your afternoon. Looks lovely there as well, doesn't it? Another 7th tier side, Marine, got a glamour third round tie at home to Spurs 3 years ago. Today they're at home to League 2 side Harrogate Town. And Betty Glover, our hopes high of another upset on the northwest coast.
Oh, Jason, hopes are always high here. Marine absolutely love a cup upset, don't they? Like you said, 3 years ago, they became just the 2nd, 8th tier side to make it through to the 3rd round of the FA Cup and had the likes of Gareth Bale and Dele Alli playing right here. And actually, it's because of that cup run that they were able to install a new 3G pitch that they're playing on today, and also, more importantly, a bar. But look, they're really, really confident. I spoke to the head coach, Neil Young, earlier, and he said that they've got nothing to lose. They're doing really well in the league, so they're going to come into this and give it absolutely everything. They're playing a Harrogate side, League 2, who are on a run of 4 defeats out of 5. So they're not exactly thriving. But look, the weather might have not turned up, but the fans certainly have. It is sold out here. They're full of voice. They're singing. And look, here's a little nugget to remember about this ground. On the fences, there's numbers, and those numbers correlate to the houses so that when a ball does go over the fence, they know which door to knock on to get the ball back, which I think is pretty cool.
That's really good. Thank you very much indeed, Betty. The magic of the cup. There you go. I said it. By the way, Barrow are leading Northampton Town by 2-1. Barrow of League 2 taking on Northampton Town, 20th in League 1. That kicked off at 1:30. So get involved this afternoon. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you're chasing a giant cup killing in the cup this afternoon. Use the hashtag BBC Final Score to join the conversation. And, of course, the live text, BBC Sport website, BBC Sport app. Right, we're hoping for an exciting afternoon. Some shocks this afternoon. Teams are on their way out. Let's start with Manchester City, Bournemouth and John Bennett.
Is there a tougher test in world football right now than a trip to Manchester City? Bournemouth arrive here with the champions on a 21-game winning run at home. And Erling Haaland has yet another landmark in his sights. A hat-trick today would take him to 50 Premier League goals in record time.
Zero points at home so far this season for Burnley. Is today the day they finally get something as the youngest manager in the Premier League, Vincent Kompany, plays host to the oldest, as Roy Hodgson looks for his first win over Burnley in 5 attempts.
Ahead of bonfire night, Sheffield United need a spark to ignite their Premier League campaign. Wolves, impressive in beating Manchester City and holding Newcastle, stand in their way. The challenges don't get any easier for the Blades.
Everton are looking for their first back-to-back league win since October last year, and Sean Dyche's side seem to be growing in confidence. A victory here would move them to within 4 points of their opponents, Brighton, who are stalling a little. They're winless in 4 league games, so 3 points would go a long way for both today.
Brentford have won all 4 Premier League meetings with West Ham, and at the moment they are the kings of the London derby, unbeaten in their last 13. West Ham will look to Wednesday's cup win over Arsenal to reboot their own league form. 1 win in 6 is not good enough, but up front they've got Jared Bowen seeking a Premier League record today.
There we go. We are all set then for a fantastic afternoon in the Premier League and, of course, in the FA Cup. 30 FA Cup first-round ties at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We have reporters at 6 of them, and Kelly Summers is across all the afternoon. Kelly, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Yeah, the maths tells you that means I'm across 24. Goes across 3 pages here for you. Now, I do agree that Marine and Bristol Rovers are a good chance of seeing a couple of shocks, but I've picked out a few others. One of those, Ramsgate. 3 teams from the 8th tier have made it through to the first round. Ramsgate are one of those. Interestingly, all 3 of those teams came from the Isthmian League South East. Ramsgate today hosting Woking, 62 league places separating these 2 sides.
OK, with Armistice Day and Remembrance Sunday next weekend, teams across the country have been paying their respects before today's matches. So we are underway. Let's get into some of those tasty FA Cup first-round ties, starting at Edgar Street, which once, of course, saw one of the great FA Cup goals, Ronnie Radford and all that. It's Hereford of the National League North against League 2 Gillingham, who've got a new manager, Laura Kenyon.
Yeah, the dawning of a new era under Stephen Clements, described by Jack Grealish, actually, as one of the best assistant managers he's ever worked with. 51 places between these 2 sides. And non-league Hereford, as you say, one of the most iconic goals in FA Cup history. Ronnie Radford to knock out Newcastle in 1972. 4,000 home fans hoping for similar today. It's 0-0.
2 minutes. Yeovil Town of the National League South are on a great run. They're at home to Gateshead, 8th in the National League. Longest round trip of the day, nearly 700 miles. And John Akers has had a shorter journey, but interestingly has now ticked Hewish Park off his football grounds list at last.
You come to me just as Yeovil take the lead lead here, Jason. It could well go down as an own goal, but what a start. Just 2 minutes in, and Yeovil have the National League South take the lead against National League Gateshead. They're on some run, Yeovil, so it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. This would be their 9th win in a row if it were to stay like this. Yeovil 1, Gateshead 0, and this is ground number 96 for me, by the way.
You can probably tell that the video printer is working gloriously on this final score day today. However, our main graphics are not. So we're having a little teething problems, but we're onto it. Our fantastic team are onto it. To the Abbey Stadium, where it's Cambridge United, Bracknell Town. Mark Webber.
A deluge of rain has probably made this a leveller. Certainly not a deluge of goals. Near 200 Bracknell Town fans singing Bracknell are massive everywhere they go and banging the drum. Little hope for them so far. Most of the chances gone Cambridge United's way, but they certainly fancy their chances of closing that 94-place gap between the two sides. 0-0.
To Nesta McGregor watching Bolton Wanderers, Solihull Moors.
Yeah, not much to report in terms of goals, obviously, Jason. And FA Cup ties are often played at a ferocious pace. Not this one. Solihull Moors seem content on letting Bolton try and play out from the back before pressing the first pass into midfield. Before kick-off, Bolton boss Ian Evatt did say respectfully they are the better team, but they must approach this game with the right energy and attitude. Paris Magoma, Wanderers left winger, squandered a one-on-one chance, and Bolton have had a decent penalty shout-out turned down. So a game that's going to plan at the moment, but still goalless.
Full programme of Championship action today, as I said. We'll keep you right up to date on the video printer. Last night, Leeds United ended Leicester City's 9-game winning run with that 1-0 win at the King Power. Leeds United were fantastic yesterday evening. Today, one of our featured games sees second place Ipswich Town go to Birmingham City. As I say, Wayne Rooney still looking for his first win as Blues boss. Maybe today, Adam Cottier.
Yeah, they lead for the first time. Birmingham under Wayne Rooney's charge. A really good goal as well. Great play from Ethan Laird out to the left. Nino Bacuna with a ball into the box that deflected into Jay Stansfield. He turned, got it away from the keeper and fired it low into the net. Birmingham 1, Ipswich 0.
Russell Martin, Southampton 4 points behind Leeds in 4th in the Championship. They're into the Lions' den. Aaron Paul.
0-0, Southampton 0. Millwall winless in their last 4. Southampton unbeaten in 6. But this one has been sloppy, Jason. A lack of quality at both ends, despite plenty of running from both sides. Stuart Armstrong has killed the game's best chance over the bar, but otherwise it is 0-0.
There's a new man in charge of Queen's Park Rangers. Today, the new boss in QPR travelled to Rotherham United. Gavin Ramjohn.
Correct indeed, Jason. Marty Cifuentes is the new man at the helm at QPR. It's goalless here at the moment. Rotherham 0, QPR 0. He'll be hoping to channel his namesake, Marty McFly, go back in time a year. QPR were 4th this time last year. Not so good at the moment. 6 losses in a row for them. But Rotherham only a point above them towards the bottom end of the table. But 0-0 here at the New York Stadium.
In the Scottish Premiership, unbeaten leaders Celtic were at Ross County. Kenny Crawford.
It finished here, Ross County 0, Celtic 3. Mission accomplished for Brendan Rodgers, 200 miles north of Glasgow. Celtic now 8 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership. David Turnbull with a precise first on the cusp of half-time. Louis Palma with a spectacular second from 25 yards on 78 minutes. Then James Forrest nodding in to add the icing on the cake. It was always going to be tough for Ross County, who had James Brown sent off on 10 minutes, and it's now Atletico Madrid away for Celtic in the Champions League on Tuesday. Ross County 0, Celtic 3.
One FA Cup game has finished. Northampton Town are League 1 against League 2's Barrow. Flo Pollock.
Barrow into the next round of the FA Cup. The 168 Barrow fans who travelled down south are rewarded with a fine performance and win. Barrow were the better side. Their opening goal, a powerful header from Aqua. Northampton got level before the break, but in the second half it was just not Northampton's day. Conceded a deflected shot, a horrible mix-up at the back for the third. Full-time, Northampton 1, Barrow 3.
There was also a lunchtime game in the Women's Super League. Chelsea second in the table on goal difference. Went to Villa. Shoujo Saka.
The champions Chelsea go top of the league in emphatic fashion. A 6-0 win with 6 different scorers and without needing star striker Sam Kerr to even step off the bench. The build-up to Chelsea's second goal, finished off by Fran Kirby, was world-class in particular. Aston Villa have now played 5, lost 5 in the WSL this season, but losing to Chelsea in this mood will not define their season. It'll be a question of how quickly Carla Ward can pick her players up. It's finished Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 6.
And Arsenal at home to Manchester City is the live Women's Super League game tomorrow. Alex Scott and the team will bring you live coverage of that from 12:15 tomorrow on BBC 2. And just some news coming into us. Fara, what do you make of this? Chelsea have announced that Emma Hayes will leave the club at the end of the season.
Shocked. first I've heard of it. She's done a fantastic job with Chelsea.
Sheffield Wednesday down to 10 men, though, after Barry Bannon was sent off, Jason.
Kelly, we are right up to date. Thank you very much indeed. Don't forget all the goals from the Premier League. Match of the day, 10:20, BBC One with Gary and the team. We've got live FA Cup first round action later today. Of course, 5:30 on BBC Two as National League side Bromley host Blackpool of League One. Then tomorrow, Charlton Athletic face Cray Valley Paper Mills from the 8th tier. 5:15 also on BBC Two, and you can catch all the first round goals on the highlights from 8 o'clock tomorrow evening on BBC Three and BBC iPlayer. Plus tonight we have this. Yeah, looking forward to that. Who do you fancy tonight? Boca Juniors, Glenn?
Yes, nailed on.
You've done your research, haven't you?
I have.
Didn't know I was throwing that, did you?
No,
There you are. There you are. Be nice, you pretender. We're taking a very quick break, so viewers on BBC One can join us. Grab a cuppa. See you shortly.
Prepare to dream again in this FA Cup. He scored! Wolverhampton has scored for Albion.
It's a goal for Bournemouth, and it's double joy for Paul Mullen.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Final Score. All the goals as they go in across the Premier League, Championship and the Scottish Premiership. And today we have the added excitement of the FA Cup first round. Fara Williams and Glenn Murray, they love it. They've got their tin-foil FA Cups at the ready. In the early kick-off, it finished Fulham 0, Manchester United 1. Details on the way. Let's go to the Etihad, where Manchester City have never lost to Bournemouth in the Premier League. And it's not going to happen today either, John Bennett.
Yeah, it's not going to happen today. Manchester City 4, Bournemouth 0. Jeremy Doku's the star man for the champions. He's been at the centre of everything. A goal and 3 assists. First half, he scored after a 1-2 with Rodri. Then he set up Bernardo Silva after a jinking run, and his shot deflected in off Manuel Akanji. Then second half, he set up Phil Foden, the substitute, to make it 4-0. One concern, though, Jason, for Manchester City. Erling Haaland went off injured at half-time. He limped off at the break. Looked like an ankle or a foot problem. Manchester City 4, Bournemouth 0.
John, thank you very much indeed. Can you believe this? It's been all Wolverhampton Wanderers at Bramall Lane, but the second half, Naz Premji, a different Sheffield United.
Absolutely. Sheffield United 1, Wolves 0. The ball fell to Cameron Archer. He raced to the edge of the area and a blockbuster effort off the underside of the bar and in. Wolves will be kicking themselves. They should be 2 or 3 up here. They're 1 down, and could United get that first win of the campaign?
Palace lead at Turf Moor. Rich Wolfenden.
Yeah, Burnley will be concerned after hearing about the Sheffield United score. It's Palace 1-0 thanks to that Jeffrey Schlupp goal in the first half. A mistake at the back by Jordan Bayer. But Burnley have been the better team, if you ask me. They've just lacked that bit of quality. Company has been pacing up and down the touchline, barking orders. But Hodgson, more than twice the age of his opposition manager today, has his side in front.
Incredible stuff at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Chris Latchem, what a game!
Brilliant game. Brentford have led, they've trailed, and now they lead again. Nathan Collins, the defender, was up for a header. Big deep cross, and he's a big man. He got up above everybody, nodded into the back of the net to put Brentford 3-2 up. They were 1-0 up through the rarest of things. A Neil Mopai goal in the first half. West Ham fought back, an overhead kick from Mohammad Kudus, and Jared Bowen making it 2-1. They should have been 3-1 up at the break. Antonio and Benrahma got in each other's way, but now West Ham are behind.
It's a sensational header. We'll talk to Fara and Glenn about that in just a moment, and the rest of the Premier League action. To Goodison, Sarah Mulkerrins.
Yeah, it's Everton 1, Brighton 0. The hosts are sitting on that lead of Vitaly Mikolenko from the first half. Brighton dominating possession. They look a bit more threatening after the break. Great chance went to begging there for Pascal Gross. After some lovely work from Matoma, he just fired it over from inside the area. Some of the biggest cheers from the Goodison fans have come for James Tarkowski, who has been epic in defence. He's leapt like a salmon Hammond to clear some of them, and he's just pulled off a great save there. It is all Brighton in terms of possession, but it is Everton who lead 1-0.
Full-time at Turf Moor, Rich Wolfenden.
Another defeat at home. Vincent Kompany, the first manager to lose their first 6 home games in the Premier League in 20 years. It was all started by Jeffrey Schlupp, who tapped home a Jordan Ayew cross after Jordan Bayer was caught in possession. Mitchell then scored a second deep into injury time to confirm Palace's first win here since 2019. The final score is Burnley 0, Palace 2.
It's full-time at Goodison, I think. Sarah Mulkerrins.
Yeah, and it has ended Everton 1, Brighton 1. Everton fired out of the blocks here at Goodison. Vitaly Mykolenko putting the home side ahead 7 minutes in, looking for back-to-back wins for the first time since October last year. Their defence was holding firm against this Brighton team who just dominate possession. Brighton, though, got much better in the second half. Their attacking threat got a bit more clinical, and you felt that something was coming. When it came, though, it was Karamatoma out on the left-hand side, and he just kind of almost crossed the ball in, but unfortunately for Ashley Young, he was there in the box and unfortunately flicked in off him, so it was an own goal that got the Brighton equaliser, and then you just couldn't take your eyes off it. Chances at both ends as both needed to go for a winner late on. Brighton now winless in 5 games. Everton, though, definitely looking in better form than they did at the start of this season. It's Everton 1, Brighton 1.
Let's go to the Etihad. John Bennett.
Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1. The Jeremy Doku show. 22 home wins in a row now for Man City. This victory inspired by Doku. 1 goal and 4 assists. He scored the opener, driving into the box, set up both Bernardo Silva goals, set up Foden's close range effort, had a shot deflected in off Manuel Akanji. Nathan Ake's diving header, the only goal that didn't involve him. But the big post-match talking point will be the injury to Erling Haaland. He had to go off at half-time. Man City 6, Bournemouth 1.
Heartbreak, though, for Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's Premji.
Mark the date, Saturday 4th November, Sheffield United 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. They've got their first Premier League win of the season. Cameron Archer with a blockbuster effort. It was, of course, Bellegarde's deflected ever which level. Then they got the spot kick. Fabio Silva on George Baldock. Long VAR check, and Ollie Norwood held his nerve in injury time to lift the roof off Bramall Lane and ease the pressure on Paul Heckingbottom. Sheffield United 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1.
Absolutely sensational win for Paul Heckingbottom's Sheffield United. It's full-time at the G-Tech. Chris Latchem.
They are singing in the stands. Brentford just don't lose London derbies, Jason. 14 capital showdowns without defeat now, and 3 Premier League wins in a row. Neil Mopai had them in front with his first goal for 14 months, but the joy was short-lived. A Kudus overhead kick levelled it before Bowen stabbed West Ham in front. They should have led 3-1 at the break. Antonio and Ben Rama getting in each other's way. Then they gave up the equaliser 2-2. Mavropanos nodding into his own net. And then Nathan Collins got above everyone to win it for Brentford. West Ham's league run is in stark contrast to their cup form. 1 win in 7 in the league for Moyes & Co.
Yep. Full-time at Marine, Harrogate Town. Betty Glover.
And it finished here, Marine 1, Harrogate 5. We can officially say the Marine dream is over. They went into the break trailing just 2-1, had so many chances in the first half, looked so bright, looked so up for it, but the second half was just a completely different story. League 2 side Harrogate absolutely dominating, not letting Marine really get a look in at all. Most of their goals coming on the counter. Harrogate go into the second round for the 4th season on the bounce, whereas Marine, well, their hopes of emulating that famous 2021 FA Cup run is over. It finished here, Marine 1, Harrogate 5 in the pouring rain.
Betty, thank you very much. Full-time at the Memorial Stadium, Liam MacDevitt.
Yeah, it's full-time here, and it's 7-2 to Bristol Rovers. The quality showed, the gap in the leagues was too much. Luke Thomas picked up the Man of the Match awards, and he was unbelievable for Bristol Rovers all match. Scored his goal and created every time he got the ball. But the Whitby fans have just cheered their boys off the pitch. They got to see Connor Simpson bend one into the top corner, and that's a moment they'll remember. But there's also been a big moment of history here for Bristol Rovers as Ollie Dewsbury makes his debut and becomes the youngest player to play for Bristol Rovers in the FA Cup. Finished here, Bristol Rovers 7, Whitby Town 2.
League tables on the way. Don't forget, you can see all the goals from today's 7 Premier League games. Match of the day tonight, 10:20 on BBC One with Gary and the team. This is Final Score from the BBC. Interviews and reaction on the way. First, all of today's results with Mike West.
And we'll begin with today's action in the Premier League. Brentford 3, West Ham United 2, Burnley 0, Crystal Palace 2, Everton 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 1, Fulham 0, Manchester United 1, Manchester City 6, Bournemouth 1. Newcastle United against Arsenal is an evening kick-off at 5:30. And Sheffield United 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. The Sky Bet Championship, Birmingham City 2, Ipswich Town 2, Bristol City 1, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Huddersfield Town 0, Watford 0, Millwall 0, Southampton 1, Plymouth Argyle 3, Middlesbrough 3, Preston North End 3, Coventry City 2, Rotherham United 1, Queen's Park Rangers 1, Stoke City 0, Cardiff City 0, Swansea City 0, Sunderland 0, and West Bromwich Albion 3, Hull City 1. The Emirates FA Cup first round, AFC Wimbledon 5, Cheltenham Town 1, Alfreton Town 2, Worthing 0, Bolton Wanderers 4, Solihull Moors 0, Bradford City 1, Wycombe Wanderers 2, Bristol Rovers 7, Whitby Town 2. Bromley against Blackpool is an evening kick-off at 5:45. Cambridge United 2, Bracknell Town 1. Chesham United 0, Maidstone United 2. Chester FC 0, York City 0. Curzon Ashton 0, Barnet 1. And Doncaster Rovers 2, Accrington Stanley 2. Continuing with the FA Cup, Eastleigh 5, Boreham Wood 1, Exeter City 0, Wigan Athletic 2, Hereford 0, Gillingham 2, Leyton Orient 3, Carlisle United 1, Lincoln City 1, Morecambe 2, Mansfield Town against Wrexham, an evening kick-off at 7:45, Marine 1, Harrogate Town 5, Newport County 2, Oldham Athletic 0, Northampton Town 1, Barrow 3, Notts County 3, Crawley Town 2, and Oxford United 2, Maidenhead United 0. The remaining FA Cup matches, Peterborough United 2, Salford City 2, Port Vale 0, Burton Albion 0, Ramsgate 2, Woking 1, Reading 3, MK Dons 2, Scarborough Athletic 1, Forest Green Rovers 1, Shrewsbury Town 3, Colchester United 2, Stevenage 4, Tranmere Rovers 3, Stockport County 5, Worksop Town 1, Sutton United 2, AFC Fylde 1, Swindon Town 4, Aldershot Town 7, and Yeovil Town 3, Gateshead 2. In the Vanarama National League, just one game today. It finished Dorking Wanderers 1, Dagenham and Redbridge 3. And one game too in the Barclays Women's Super League, which finished Aston Villa 0, Chelsea 6. Into Scotland with the Cinch Premiership, Kilmarnock 1, Motherwell 0, and Ross County 0, Celtic 3. The Scottish Championship, Arbroath 1, Partick Thistle 3, Ayr United 2, Queen's Park 2, Dundee United 1, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 1, and Wraith Rovers 1, Airdrieonians 1. The Scottish League 1, Annan Athletic 2, Kelty Hearts 2, Cove Rangers 1, Hamilton Academical 0, Edinburgh City 1, Montrose 5, Queen of the South 1, Falkirk 1, and Stirling Albion 0, Alloa Athletic 2. The Scottish League 2, Clyde 1, the Spartans 2, Dumbarton 4, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Forfar Athletic 1, Stenhouse Muir 3, Peterhead 2, East Fife 0, and Stranraer 3, Elgin City 1. The JD Cymru Premier in Wales, Ballatown 0, Pontypridd United 0, Barrytown United 0, Aberystwyth Town 1, Carnarvon Town 2, Penabont 4, Cardiff MU 3, Connors Quay Nomads 1, Haverfordwest County 5, Colwyn Bay 0 and Newtown 0. The New Saints 2. Lastly, the Sports Direct Premiership in Northern Ireland. Crusaders 0, Coleraine 2, Glenavon 1, Dungannon Swifts 0, Glentoran 2, Carrick Rangers 3, Loughgall 5, Ballymena United 2, and finally Newry City 0, Linfield 3.
So let's take a look at the Premier League. Manchester City's biggest win of the season has lifted them to top spot for now. Overnight leader Spurs not playing until Monday against Chelsea. Arsenal kick off shortly away to Newcastle United. Big story of the afternoon, Sheffield United remain at the foot of the table despite becoming the final team in England's top 6 tiers to earn a first league victory of the season. They trail Burnley on goal difference. Luton Town completing the bottom 3 prior to hosting Liverpool tomorrow. In the Championship, Ipswich Town closed the gap on leaders Leicester City to 4 points after they battled back from 2-0 down to draw at St Andrews and deny Wayne Rooney a first win in charge. Preston North End move into the playoffs. Big game at the bottom of the Championship today was Rotherham United, Queen's Park Rangers and Sheffield Wednesday lost for the 11th time this season. They stay at the foot of the table. Celtic's win over 10-man Ross County helps them move 8 points clear at the top. Thank you very much. Live football coming up for you very shortly on the BBC. Bromley against Blackpool in the FA Cup. Alex Scott is there.
I am indeed, Jason, 9 miles southeast of central London here in Bromley, and really looking forward to this one. Been speaking to a few of the Bromley fans. They are sensing there could be an upset today because they're going really well in the National League and they haven't lost here in their last 8 games. But they are up against Blackpool, who have won this trophy before, and they are 8th in League One. It's going to be a cracking atmosphere, 5,000 expected here. Do join us on BBC 2 at 5:30.
So we look forward to it. Thank you very much indeed. Let's bring you some highlights of Ramsgate against Woking.
Yeah, it's so special. It's why some of them want to be footballers, just to be able to try and strive to the second round. It gives you a chance to get in the third round. The big boys come in. That's what it's all about. But those scenes there are extra special.
It's been brilliant today. Thank you very much indeed. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of goals. Time for a lie down. Thank you to Glenn, Fara, Kelly and our reporters out and about. Don't forget all the FA Cup first round goals on the BBC Sport website and app. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.